You always use 2 retractors, and you have to pick the appropriate size for the mouth. To get outstanding intraoral photographs, you need the right size retractor. So there are a number of retractors that should be in every dental practice, and this is always the double-ended side. So I have a large and a small. Now here is an extremely large retractor, which I have never used. I haven't found the mouth big enough for that. But this retractor is an excellent size for a large mouth. And of course we need the very small retractors. These are the V-shaped retractors that we need for children or adults with very small mouths. Now, placing these retractors, I ask the patient to lick their lips. Don't put Vaseline or don't put lip seal on their lip gloss on their lips, because when you start working with the mirrors, you always get that big lip imprint, and it takes a long time to get rid of that. I get the patient to turn towards me, lick your lips, and most people place the retractors in like this, slide, slide, and then they ask the patient to hold it. Okay? So what happens now, we need to get those fingers around the curve, so that's a time, it takes time to do that. So watch what I do just to save you a few seconds, which you need in your busy day. Relax your lips, lick your lips. Okay, now I hold the retractors from underneath, slide, slide, bite, put your wrists together, the patient holds the retractor automatically where it's supposed to. So one more important part is that when the retractors are in the mouth, they have to be, the handles have to be perfectly straight in line with the teeth. You can't do it like this, or you can't pull down. It has to be perfectly straight. The biggest mistakes that I see is when you place the retractor, the lip is pulled up and the gingival attachment is not visible. And a lot of you, because you're so used to saliva, you just put your finger in there and you pull it out. Don't touch the mouth with your gloves now, because you're going to cross-contaminate this camera. So what you do, all you have to do is you just flip the lip out and you see how perfectly retracted the mouth is. Now, I turn the mouth so I'm in line with the camera. We set our lens to the orange number 3 position. This helps us standardize the photograph. So every time I take the photograph, it will be at the same distance. It will be the same size. Make sure this is nice and straight. Close your eyes and I will take the picture. Awesome. Okay. Now, we turn the patient away, chin up a little bit. Relax on this side. I pull the lip on the opposite side a little bit forward so I can see the teeth against the cheek, not the teeth against the retractor. Now I help the patient. I hold the retractor with my index finger and thumb very close, put my 3 fingers behind her jaw, and my patient puts their hand down. This one down. Okay? Look straight ahead. I'm not pulling the whole time. I'm going to take this photograph by focusing on the canine and at the chin up a little, and at the last moment I pull. So I also see that I could have retracted a lot more. So put the retractor back in. You only have to place the retractor at the very beginning into the patient's mouth, because the patient won't even find it. But once they've had the retractor in, they can then place the retractor themselves. So again, you're not going to cross-contaminate. I leave the large retractor on this side, and I'm putting the little retractor in on this side. Bite. Again, making sure that the lip is not covering the gingival attachment. Look straight ahead, pull a little bit out. Now I'm again back and forth until I see the canine sharp. I focus and I pull, and I have now gotten at least 1 more tooth. And that is by switching around to the small one for her mouth. You don't have to do that for every patient, but when you see that you need a little bit more space, just switch the retractors around. So There is another way of doing buccal shots or lateral shots, and this is with a kidney-shaped mirror. Now, when you're using a mirror for the buccal views, you need one retractor to keep the lip open, and of course the mirror acts as a second retractor. Jessica put the retractor in the mouth. So now we're just relaxing and holding the lip apart with the retractor. And at this stage, open your mouth. Okay, the heated mirror is placed into the mouth horizontally. You push the lip out. Now bite, and this way you're going to photograph the mirror image only. Okay, just come back towards me. So, okay. You have to look at the view, make sure that the mirror is not tilted at all. And when you see it in perfect position, again, we're still on the number 3 setting, and we take the photograph. There we go.
Nice.
Okay, good. So this is the kidney-shaped mirror that will give you these results. When there is any open space, the patient always likes to push the tongue against it. So you ask the patient to pull the tongue back. I ask them to put it on the roof of their mouth. Now, if I have a patient that has a very strong tongue thrust, I will take an additional photograph because it helps educate the patient about their tongue thrust. You might want to give them some exercises. You might explain to them what a tongue thrust will do. So it is a very helpful photograph. But in order to see the condition of the bite, you ask them to put the tongue back on the roof of the mouth. Same thing as you can see here. You get a totally different image when the tongue is pushed against the teeth. For orthodontics, if there is an overjet, we need to take a photograph absolutely from the side. But of course, we then don't see the distal of the 6. We can only see so many teeth. And when you take a photograph exactly from the side, usually we see the fingers in the photograph. So again, we use a contraster. I like the plastic flexible contrasters because you can bend them, and we just push it in front of the opposite retractor, and then we're going to get a very clear photograph. As you can see, the occlusal lip retractor makes all the shots easier. We've demonstrated it. I couldn't be without it. It is one of the retractors that is in my series of retractors. I will always use them for my mirror shots. The best mirrors that I've found on the market are the Riofoto rhodium plated mirrors. Rhodium plated mirrors are much more brilliant, much sharper looking. And these are glass mirrors, and there are many shapes that you can purchase. And I only purchase the extra long adult size occlusal mirror. The reason is if you have a short mirror, your fingers are always in the photograph. You have to really press against the patient, and it is very uncomfortable. And it takes a long time to take the photographs. I still have a short mirror. When I started at the university, there were 2 short mirrors that I had to use. After 1 week, I drew them longer and I had them custom made, and we've been using them ever since, and that's a long time ago. I have those 2 mirrors. The only time I use them is to put my lipstick on. Don't use them. You need the extra long mirrors. Time is money, and those extra long mirrors will save you a lot of time. If you really like metal mirrors, the other mirrors that I do like are the angled metal mirrors. They are from Orthoply. You can purchase them. And if your mirrors get scratched, the metal mirrors get scratched from Orthoply, they actually will replate them for you. Don't think because they're metal that they don't scratch as much. They scratch just as much as a glass mirror. And they are not as brilliant as a glass mirror. So my first preference is the Riofoto glass mirror. Second preference would be the metal mirror that Orthoply supplies. You will now find many suppliers that sell lookalikes, and there has been just an ocean of terrible mirrors on the market. As you can see, these mirrors, they deplate. they scratch, they are thin, they are sharp. It's very uncomfortable to be in the patient's mouth. So there are only two that I recommend, and these are the ones. Now, you have to keep your mirrors warm. And it doesn't make any sense that you're putting the mirrors in a little mixing bowl filled with warm water. Why are you even sterilizing the mirrors? If you do need it during a procedure, if you need a hot mirror because you're taking photographs over any length of time, use a disposable styrofoam soup cup, and that'll keep them warm also. For a minimal price, you can purchase a baby wipe warmer. Now your sterilized mirrors in the package are placed in there, and obviously you're using the lowest one at a time, always from the bottom, because that's the warmest, and then you don't have any fog on your mirrors. So these are, last time I bought them, they were $40, and they do sell mirror warmers, and they are in the $200 range. So don't go for the dental price. Go to your local Bed Bath & Beyond or Babies R Us store or Walmart. They all have them. When we are placing the retractors into the mouth for the mirror shot, if you do not have that magic retractor, you can use two retractors. You always use the small end. The patient places them in the mouth, pulls it upwards, as we are demonstrating in the next video. So now we come to the mirror shots. And the mirror shots can be taken in two ways. For any mirror shot, you can use the small retractors. Don't use the large one. You place them in the patient's mouth, lick your lips, slide up, and the patient holds them up, and the lip is flipped forward. Okay, so just turn a little bit this way. So, okay. Now open your mouth really wide, and this gives me an indication that I have to put the retractors even further up. We now use the extra large occlusal mirror. It has to be heated so it doesn't fog up. Slide, and now we see the retracted and perfect example of the occlusal view. Now turn towards me. Open. Very good, very good. And there we go. And here we have a great mirror shot. Then we turn the mirror around, place down, this, and down. Now we tilt the patient's head way back. Open really wide, at an angle, push the lip away, slide it way past behind the molar. And perfect. Take them out. So this is one way, but most patients get tired of holding those retractors up. So we found a new item, which is just an amazing little tool, and that is this retractor. We place it in the patient's mouth. Okay, now hold it at the very end and pull your lip upwards and open your mouth. Okay, and really make sure that the lip is there. Now turn towards me, open really wide, and this way it is very easy to take the photograph of the occlusal surfaces. Okay. How do you feel about the two different mirrors?
This one's easier. You're only using one arm.
Yeah, and the patients really love this retractor. It's also more comfortable in the mouth, and they come with child size and adult size. So now place it into the mouth for the lower. Now, head up. So push the lip away, push it way back, back and forth until you see all the teeth, and take the photograph. Now, once you've pushed the mirror past the last molar, and don't worry about it, it does not make the patient gag. Now, of course, you will have gaggers in your practice, and they'll gag when you walk in the door. But the mirror does not make anybody gag. Now, once it's seated behind the last molar, push it down. So you separate the teeth from the mirror, so you see all the surfaces of the molars. Have you noticed that you never get a really sharp photograph of the occlusal surfaces? That's because your palette is much higher up than the occlusal surface. So what you have to do, you have to find the arch, move the center of the frame over any teeth, the occlusal surface of any teeth, focus, keep the focus lock, move it back so you see the whole arch, and then press down without releasing the pressure. This is what's called focus lock, and this is the easiest and fastest way to focus on a mirror image. Now we're just doing the same thing in reverse. The only thing you have to remember that for the mandibular view, the patient really tilts the head way back. Same thing as if you're photographing the maxillary view. Now, some doctors would like to have the tongue behind the mirror, but you have to realize that only a very small percentage of your patients can do that. So as soon as you say something about their tongue, what does the patient do? It goes all over the place, and it's very difficult to control. So the first thing I do is I place the mirror into the patient's mouth, and most of the time the tongue retracts and does not cover any occlusal surfaces, and that's when I take my first photograph. If I do really want to have the tongue behind the mirror, then you need to scoop the tongue and push it back and then take the photograph. But if a patient has a very strong tongue thrust, we just get whatever we can. You cannot always get the perfect shot. You have to accept that. Scratched mirrors, have a look at your mirrors. The scratched mirrors, it's a misleading medical record. And the patient's comments when they saw those photographs is, what are all those hair doing in my mouth? Now, I tell you, this is really funny, if it wouldn't be so sad. So we have to make sure that our mirrors are in top conditions. My mirrors are over 20 years old and they do not have a single scratch. So let me tell you what you have to do. After you've used the mirror, you take it out of the patient's mouth and you quickly wash the mirror with a little bit of dish soap and rinse it. I have a little towel on the counter. I take a second towel and dry it. Do not use paper because that will scratch your mirrors. It gives those hairline scratches. The mirrors cannot be placed with retractors and other instruments. Nothing can be on top of the mirror. When the mirror is dry, you place them in one of those little microfiber pouches. Go to your ophthalmologist and ask them if they have some spare ones, because they usually do. Or anybody that sells glasses has these pouches. You place the mirror in there, you place them into the sterilization bag, and you sterilize them. Now, the only paper towel that actually would work are the Scotties automotive towels. You can get them from Canadian Tire, you can get them from really any hardware store. But this is the only towel that does not scratch, and you can wrap the mirror into this towel, put it in the sterilization bag, and sterilize them. So not every dental practice wants to use the single lens reflex camera. They want the quick and small camera that they can get excellent photographs with. And there are a few cameras on the market that can do this. One of them is the Olympus Clinicam. These are cameras that have been set up for dental photography. You can't just buy the camera and make it work. There's about 20-30 different steps that make it work for dentistry, and it has to be fully set up when you're taking the photographs. So I get Jessica to turn towards me. Now, bite, focus. The lip comes up, so we flip the lip down, the retractor down. Awesome. Okay, now look straight ahead. Relax on this side. And again, switch around to the small one. So you notice that I don't change the retractor at this stage. My patient changes the retractor. So I only hold the retractor at the handle. Bite, relax. Okay, and again, I'm focusing. I pull, and I'll take this photograph. In this case, we're actually going to get a shadow because the flash is over on this side. So if you want to avoid shadows, hold the camera upside down, look straight ahead, relax on this side, and I'm going to focus, and then I pull, and I'll take the photograph. I'm going to focus, and I'll take the photograph. And now we don't have a shadow at all. See, before we had a shadow. Now we don't have a shadow. For the mirror shot, it's very simple. The same thing, put the retractor in the mouth. You can hold the camera just the way you normally do. Open, slide, slide, push it way back. Now, we have to focus on the teeth, lock the focus and pull it over. And now we have an excellent intraoral occlusal surface. Place it down, head up. Okay, so we are focusing on the teeth, drag it back and take the photograph. And again, an excellent occlusal surface. And last not least, once you've taken all those photographs and you've downloaded them and you've backed them up, then you have to clear your card. And don't just delete your images, because if you delete your images, you can retrieve those images at any time and there is memory tags left on that card. So you want to go to Format, the card, which is in Menu, then you look for the tools and it's always under Format. And when you press the OK button, it always asks you twice, are you sure? And you press OK. This makes your card brand new. Thank you so much for attending this presentation. I hope it was useful to you and I've given you enough tips that you can take excellent photographs every time you press that shutter.